On World News Tonight, muddy monsoons, floods and landslides washed away houses and roads in India, leaving at least 50 dead. PM Khan's downfall. Pakistan charges ex-Prime Minister under terrorism attack. Tonight, more details on the ongoing power struggle. Anger in America. 2 months till the midterm election and Senator Graham's testimony in Trump's probe is on hold. And K-pop returns. Top bands held a live in-person concert for fans around the world since 2019.
This is Derana World News Tonight. Reporting from Colombo, here is Suzanne Shanali.
A very good evening and thank you for joining us on World News Tonight. And we begin in neighboring India. Floods and landslides triggered by intense monsoon rains have killed at least 50 people in northern and eastern India over the last 3 days. We have Derana World News special correspondent Gayatri Gunasekara, who joins us now from Delhi in India for more. Gayatri, over to you.
Yes, Shanali, parts of northern and eastern India were affected by severe floods. Heavy rains swelled the Yamuna River and inundated residential areas in Prayagraj city, Uttar Pradesh state. India's weather department predicted 2 more days of heavy rain in parts of central Madhya Pradesh state. The rain overwhelmed hundreds of villages, sweeping away the houses and leaving residents stranded in as rescue crews have been racing to evacuate survivors. Earlier this month, the Federal Weather Office had predicted that India was likely to receive an average amount of rain in August and September, pointing to overall good crop yield in Asia's third biggest economy that relies on farming to boost growth and generate jobs. Farming contributes around 15% to India's 2.7 trillion economy while sustaining more than the half of the population of 1.3 billion. Back to you, Shanali.
All right, thank you. That was Derana World News special correspondent Gayatri Gunasekara reporting from Delhi in India. In the latest of an ongoing power struggle in Pakistan, authorities have charged former Prime Minister Imran Khan under the country's Anti-Terrorism Act. The investigation comes after he accused the police and judiciary of detaining and torturing his close aide.
Pakistan's former Prime Minister Imran Khan was charged under the country's Anti-Terrorism Act on Sunday. The Interior Minister tweeted in the early hours that Khan had to, quote, face the law for threatening and hurling abuses at the magistrate and police officers. Khan had criticized them at a rally on Saturday over the arrest and alleged torture of a close aide.
Islamabad Inspector General and Deputy Inspector General, we will not spare you. We will file a suit against you. And Magistrate Zeba Chowdhury, you should also get ready, as we will take action against you. You all should be ashamed.
Pakistan authorities booked the aide last week on sedition charges, accusing him of inciting mutiny in the military. Khan has been making fiery speeches to gatherings across the South Asian nation. The one-time cricket star has been pushing for new elections after being ousted from power in April through a parliamentary vote. His address on Saturday also triggered a ban by Pakistan's electronic media regulator on the live TV broadcast of Khan's speeches, which it described as hate speech against state institutions. Then, on Sunday evening, Khan accused the government of going even further to block YouTube temporarily to deny live access to his speech at a political rally. The Pakistan Telecommunication Authority, which regulates the internet, did not immediately respond to a request for comment.
Over in Russia, investigators are piecing together some clues after a car bomb exploded, killing the daughter of one of Vladimir Putin's allies, a fierce defender of the war in Ukraine, with Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky warning that Moscow might attempt something particularly ugly in the run-up to the country's Independence Day.
Tonight, investigators say the car bomb that killed the daughter of one of President Putin's allies may have been a contract killing. Eyewitness video showing what's believed to be the SUV Daria Dugina was driving engulfed in flames. Her father, Alexander Dugin, appears to be on the scene, visibly distraught. Russian authorities say she was likely murdered, a bomb placed under her seat. The question is why? Russian state-run media citing witnesses saying her father decided last minute to travel in a different vehicle and may have been the target himself. Alexander Dugin has been called Putin's brain, one of Russia's most influential ultranationalists, whose right-wing views found their way into Putin's speeches, including his staunch support for invading Ukraine. Views echoed by his daughter, seen on state TV on Thursday for the last time. She says people in the West are living in a dream, and they need to be nourished by this war. Russia's foreign ministry speculated that Ukraine may have killed her, but no evidence of that has emerged. Ukraine's government denies any involvement. Tonight, an ex-Russian politician and Putin critic claimed responsibility on behalf of a previously unknown group called the National Republican Army. His claim couldn't be verified.
On one level, you'd think that the Ukrainians have the most reason to dislike and despise Dugin. But on the other hand, I mean, this is no small feat.
In Ukraine tonight, fears of retaliation in a country already on high alert as Ukraine prepares to mark 6 months of war on Wednesday, coinciding with its Day of Independence. President Zelensky warning Russia may be planning something particularly cruel to ruin the occasion. Ukraine's second-largest city will impose a round-the-clock curfew on a bittersweet Independence Day.
Railway staff in Britain staged the latest in a series of strikes, the second in 3 days, as decades-high inflation hit salaries and prompted walkouts across various industries.
UK's biggest container port, now set for 8 days of strike action. Nearly 2,000 workers are ready to walk out at Felixstowe over pay disputes. The port handles up to 4 million containers a year, and the action will have a major effect on the UK supply chain. It comes after 3 days of travel disruption in the UK, national rail strikes taking place on Thursday and Saturday, with rail workers looking for increased pay and job security.
I do feel sympathy for them. However, there's got to be another way because the disruption's phenomenal all over the country. It means you can't get anywhere.
I'm glad that people have the chance to make that point, but of course it's us suffering and not the guy going to work in their limos and black cap.
Separately on Friday, London Underground workers staged action of their own over pay issues. The strikes take place against a backdrop of spiralling inflation in the country, which exceeded 10% in July, a 40-year high. Talks to resolve the issues between the government and unions have so far been fruitless, meaning more action could take place.
We'll keep going until we get an agreement that our members support, and then they'll get to vote on what's on offer once we get a reasonable package. So we are committed to this dispute. We've got no choice because we're under attack from the companies and from the government.
All of these issues are sure to cause a headache for the future Prime Minister, whether it be Liz Truss or Rishi Sunak. Truss, the favourite for the job, has been a lot more vocal on the issue, pledging to pass laws that make it much more difficult to strike.
Over in the US, 2 months from Election Day, and polls show a mixed picture from the 2022 landscape. Republicans now have a slim lead when it comes to congressional picks. Polls indicated a shift in voters' top issue from cost of living now to threats to democracy. 57% of respondents say the investigation of former President Trump should continue. An appeals court gave Republican Senator Lindsey Graham a temporary reprieve from testifying in investigation into Trump's effort to overturn Georgia's 2022 election results.
A federal appeals court on Sunday put on hold a scheduled testimony by U.S. Senator Lindsey Graham before a grand jury in Georgia. It's probing efforts by Donald Trump to overturn the former president's 2020 election defeat. Graham's testimony was originally scheduled for Tuesday. Now, the case will return to a lower court for another look. Last week, a federal judge rejected Graham's challenge to the subpoena to testify before the grand jury. Graham, a Republican, had argued his position as a U.S. Senator provided him immunity from having to appear before the investigative panel. The appeals court gave Graham a new chance to challenge the subpoena, based on protections for lawmakers under the Constitution's speech or debate clause. That provision can protect lawmakers from being compelled to discuss legislative activity.
Raise that right hand.
The grand jury wants to question Graham about at least 2 phone calls he made to Georgia's Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and his staff in the weeks following the November 2020 presidential election, in which Graham explored the possibility of re-examining absentee ballots, according to prosecutors. Trump has falsely claimed that rampant voter fraud caused his loss in Georgia. a battleground state where President Joe Biden's victory helped propel him to the White House. The special grand jury in Fulton County, Georgia, is undertaking a criminal investigation into alleged wrongdoing. Trump was recorded in a January 2, 2021 phone call, pressuring Raffensperger to find enough votes to overturn his loss to Biden in the state. He has denied any wrongdoing.
I'm not going to comment on the grand jury investigation.
The grand jury has also subpoenaed members of Trump's former legal team. Rudy Giuliani, Trump's one-time personal lawyer, testified in Atlanta on Wednesday.
It's going to a short commercial break. We'll be back soon with more world news. Welcome back to World News Tonight. Now, experts in the Czech Republic, the UK and the Netherlands are helping the investigation into the hundreds of tons of fish found dead in the Oder River.
What started as an environmental disaster is descending into a bitter political debate. Poland and Germany are trading accusations of responsibility after thousands of fish were found dead in the Oder River, which borders the two countries. In a tweet, Polish Environment Minister Anna Moskwa claimed Germany was sharing so-called fake news about the deaths after authorities there reported on high pesticide levels in the waterway. Poland's government is offering 1 million zloty or €210,000 to anyone with information on who or what caused the disaster. Scientists are still struggling to find a definitive explanation for the mass die-off, which has seen workers recover over 200 tons worth of dead fish from the riverbanks. Experts in the Czech Republic, Britain and the Netherlands are helping with the investigation as water samples have been shipped off to labs there for analysis. Some researchers say that toxic algae may have killed off the fish, but other theories, including a possible chemical spill, are also being explored.
Singapore's Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has announced that his country will decriminalize sex between men, but will continue to uphold the legal definition of marriage as being between a man and a woman.
It's a historic day for Singapore's LGBT community. Singaporean Prime Minister Lee Hsien Loong has announced the city-state will repeal a law that bans gay sex.
The government will repeal Section 377A and decriminalize sex between men. I believe this is the right thing to do and something that most Singaporeans will now accept.
Section 377A of Singapore's Penal Code was introduced under British colonial rule. It punishes gay sex for up to 2 years in prison. The government's previous stance was to keep the law while promising not to enforce it. But gay people say they still face discrimination. Lu Yangfa, the executive director of the Singaporean LGBT charity Ugachaga, told Pink News,
"Decriminalisation will not only improve the lives of LGBT people and their families, but will bring other obvious benefits to business, trade and Singapore's international reputation, making this announcement welcome on many fronts."
However, Lee said the government will not change the country's legal definition of marriage as being between a man and a woman. This means it's highly unlikely same-sex marriage will be legalised in Singapore.
We have some good news for you. Diabetes is a growing problem, and thankfully there are some traditional foods that can help, like red pepper leaves. The South Korean researchers say that they've improved on this with a variety of red pepper they say is even more effective than diabetes drugs in bringing down blood sugar.
The summer can at times be unbearably hot, but it's also the season when food ingredients are abundant. For many elderly Koreans, vegetables seasoned with red pepper leaves and pickled vegetables bring back nostalgic memories of their mother's cooking. One of the key ingredients, red pepper leaves, is known to help lower blood sugar levels. Now, the Rural Development Administration has developed a new type of pepper designed to produce leaves that are even better at keeping blood sugar levels down. This is the second version of the wongi pepper, which was first cultivated in 2008. The pepper has since been crossbred to triple its blood sugar suppressing effects.
According to our analysis of blood sugar suppressing efficacy, diabetes drugs on the market show around 80% efficacy, and the Wongi-2 pepper extract shows 74.8%, which is not much lower than the actual drugs.
The fruits of these Wongi peppers don't contain much of the blood sugar suppressing substance and can be eaten like normal peppers.
We can cultivate both fruits and functional leaves, so I feel it could help improve our profits.
Results of the research on Wongi-2 pepper leaves and suggestions for how to use the leaves as a food ingredient have recently been published in international academic journals.
Somalia's security forces ended a siege at a Mogadishu hotel more than a day after it began. 21 people were confirmed dead and more than 100 hostages were freed. And Al-Shabaab Islamist group claimed responsibility for the attack.
Somali forces have ended a deadly siege at a hotel in the capital Mogadishu and freed more than 100 hostages, authorities said on Sunday. 21 people were confirmed dead and 117 injured. Minister for Health Ali Haji told Somali State TV, adding the real toll could be higher. Elite armed forces battled al-Qaeda-linked militants for 30 hours after the jihadists blasted and shot their way into the Hayat Hotel on Friday evening. The Al-Shabaab group, which has been fighting to topple the Somali government for more than a decade, claimed responsibility for the attack. Friday's attack at the Hayat, a hotel popular with lawmakers and other government officials, was the first major incident since President Hassan Sheikh Mohammed took office in May. The attackers shot and killed civilians who tried to flee towards the blown-up gate, a police captain told. He said they killed 10 security personnel with firearms and grenades. A survivor told a group of people fled to an upper floor, where they were killed by the militants, who first blew up the stairs to bar their escape. Security forces managed to free some guests who locked themselves in their rooms in the upper floors, he said. A senior police commander said 106 people were freed, including women and children.
Welcome back to World News Tonight, and for more news, let's take you around the world in a minute. A flash flood hit Afghanistan's eastern province of Logar, leaving at least 20 people dead, 30 injured, 4 accounted for, while devastating swaths of farmlands and neighborhoods. Germany's Chancellor Olaf Scholz arrived at Montreal's airport, where he's expected to sign a deal to establish hydrogen supply chains with Canada as Berlin accelerates its green transition to reduce dependence on Russian gas supplies. A U.S. Assistant Secretary of State for East Asian and Pacific Affairs, Daniel Creighton-Bigg, is scheduled to visit South Korea to boost bilateral cooperation across a wide range of issues. Leaders of the US, UK, France and Germany are looking to revive a nuclear agreement with Iran while ensuring unfaltering support for Ukraine amid Russia's invasion. Thousands of traditionally dressed Zulu warriors and maidens descended upon the royal palace in Kwan Ngoma to celebrate the traditional coronation of the newly crowned Zulu king. And that's all the news we got for you tonight. Join us again tomorrow for more news around the globe. In case you missed to watch any of the stories we aired tonight, you can always rewatch by catching us on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Derana English. And finally, we are leaving you tonight with a look at a collection of top K-pop bands holding a joint in-person concert, drawing around 30,000 fans. Stay safe and have a good night.